Sahana bhavatu sahano punatu saha viryam karavavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. What's the matter? I can't see anybody at all today. Back to seeing only a screen. Thank you. At least some people to talk to. Alkesh, are you new?
Yeah, I just joined today.
Okay. Welcome.
Thanks.
So, we are studying what is always a very interesting topic, which is self-analysis. After everything that we have studied in Vedanta, whatever they have told us, whatever we have heard, we have to learn to see how that fits into our life. Because there is no point talking in the air. Okay, now we can all say, oh, we should be realized souls, we should all be desireless, we should all have our intellect functioning. Okay, that is all correct. But this is may not be utterly realistic for us at the moment. So we have to learn to correlate what we have studied to our lives, so that it's not just a intellectual exercise. We know all the laws, we know selfishness causes agitations, we know whatever, all the various laws, life is change, we know all this stuff. And it's really sometimes becomes gold on a mule's back, because knowing this stuff, we've not figured out what are we supposed to do with this stuff. So self-analysis is our bridge between who we are and what we have studied. So we have to start understanding step by step, what is this equipment with which we have to function? If we have to get to realization, this equipment is to take us there. So we have to understand, how will this equipment take us there? To which step one obviously is understanding the equipment itself. So last chapter, Vedanta explained to us all about the equipment. There's a body, there's a mind, there's an intellect, there is the self within. Now our job starts. Okay, so we have to slowly, if I ask Alkesh, since he's new. Alkesh, where are you?
Yeah, so I'm from Ahmedabad.
Ahmedabad. He will say, I'm in Ahmedabad. All those who are already attending the class or have been attending for many years, if I ask you, where are you? And the right answer to that question is,
I'm present
in a class.
in class. Yeah.
okay. Where are you? Sunena, are you Sunena Keshav? First time, Sunena? I can't hear. Yes, okay.
Yes.
Welcome, welcome to the class. In the waking state of consciousness, I'm attending class now. Okay, where are you?
Yeah.
Where are you?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. What is your? Where are you? Where are you? Bharat, where are you? What? Even my Bharat is failing me. What is happening here?
Janki, I am in the self.
You're not in the self. Where
You
are
are
you? Where are you?
You live in your mind.
What, Bhavna? I can't hear you. Where are you? What happened? Where are you? You just studied all this.
In the
cyber
body.
sex.
I said
Where
in
are
the
you?
mind.
Huh?
I said mind.
In the mind. Okay, where are you? Elsie, where are you? I can't hear you.
In my BMI.
In your BMI. You know what is the right answer to this question?
I am
Everywhere.
everywhere.
Very good. Who said that?
Astha.
Astha, are you new?
Yes, I
Oh my
just joined a minute back.
Oh my God, Astha, this is terrible. You don't need the class, Astha. What have you joined for? If you have understood that you are everywhere, there is no restriction to where you are. You are the self. And if you are the self, you are that all-pervading reality. Okay, that is what Vedanta told us. I told you what is the real answer to the question. So the full answer is you're everywhere. And yet Alkesh tells us that I'm in Ahmedabad. So when he tells us I'm in Ahmedabad, what is he referring to? What is an Ahmedabad?
The body.
The body is an Ahmedabad. Where is Alkesh's mind?
God knows.
Huh?
God knows.
God knows. Where is his mind? God knows. Or maybe it's gone to the stars and he's thinking, how can I be in the cosmos? What is he saying? I knew I should not go to these Vedanta classes. I don't know what he's thinking in his head. What is Astha thinking in her head? We don't know. So, when I respond to that question, where am I? I'm always responding to where the body is. What Vedanta is telling us is that we are well beyond the body. Now, this is ridiculous. When Alkesh hears it for the first time, he said, are you people mad or what? I'm in Ahmedabad. I told you I'm in Ahmedabad. Now I'm in Ahmedabad. Why are you telling me where I am? Do I know where I am or do you know where I am? We can argue, no? And correctly, he said, I know where I am. You don't know me from Jack Adams. You're making a statement about me. And he'd be right. So, what is the point of this is there is an entire world between what we have been taught in Vedanta and where we are, what we think. There's a whole world in between these two things. I think I'm in Ahmedabad, but actually Vedanta says I'm everywhere. It's perplexing, to say the least. Isn't it? So what will join these two things? We just start analyzing, start self-analysis. So when I look at myself, I say, okay, what about me? So immediately I see this body. I can tell how tall I am and what is my weight. If you're a woman, you know it to the last degree. What is your weight and what was it this morning? And your height, your weight, size of this, you know. And knowing all this, is it really helping us in life? We see somebody who's very, very beautiful. Did her beauty really help her in life? In other words, these very beautiful people or very handsome people or, these great bodybuilders and all, fantastic bodies, you can see each muscle like, clearly defined. The question is, are they any happier than us? Is it necessarily true that somebody with a better body will be happier than a person who is not got such a good body. So I have to seek in myself something more, what should I say, essential, or more important, more pertinent to my existence. What can that thing be? And then slowly I go to my mind. You see, if I'm the most beautiful woman in the world, and I come into the room and the room rejects me, they don't like me for whatever reason of their own, they're jealous or whatever, I will be hurt. I've not been hurt physically, but when I'm rejected, what is causing me that pain? And I realize the existence of something beyond my body called a mind. And this mind in me is reacting to how people, how I feel with people. This is a loving person, or a hateful person, a mean person. You know, you say, I went and met that person was so warm. You're talking about another aspect of that person, not the physical body. And then when you start associating with the mind, you realize that this mind, it's very affected by what is going on outside. If somebody is loving to me, I'm happy. Somebody is not loving to me, I am miserable. Now that person is not loving because there's something wrong with him. Why am I miserable if he doesn't love me? I've noticed that actually there is something even more stable in me. Step by step, I'm coming. Something more stable. I can see that my mind behaves quite stupidly at times. It gets affected where it should not get affected. Sometimes it doesn't get affected where it should get affected. It behaves in a sort of erratic, irrational manner. And I realize I'm more than just that erratic, irrational being. So I have something more stable in me called my intellect. And my intellect can run my life much better than my mind can. And slowly I'm wading into, through my own personality, seeing the body, seeing what it's doing, seeing the mind, seeing what it's doing, seeing the intellect, what it is doing. And every time I see my intellect, I realize that there is an I who sees the intellect. There is something in me that is deeper than the intellect. How can that be? Because intellect is the subtlest thing I know. And yet, I see myself seeing the intellect. I see how my intellect is functioning. And I look the other way, I don't know what. I can't see anything beyond. And yet somehow I can see that I am seeing that there is something beyond. I don't know what it is. You can see that, right? No idea. So slowly I wade through the layers of personality and find a more stable sense of identity for myself. Say, why should I find a stable identity? It's okay. I can have any identity. Why we need a stable identity is because our whole relationship with the world is based on what you think you are. If you think, just imagine this, if you think you're Adi Shankaracharya, what will be your behavior? How will you deal with the world? If you think you're Aishwarya Rai, how do you think you will deal with the world? If you think you are, I don't know, a very poor, downtrodden person, you don't have money for the next meal, how will you deal with the world? If you're if you're brought up in a ghetto, how will you deal with the world? All your relationship with the world is based on a single factor, and that is what is your understanding of yourself. Who do you think you are? You say, I am the Prime Minister's son. How will you behave? Who do you think you are? Your entire relationship with the world is based on this, who you think you are. So should you not have a stable sense of identity? Every time that identity shifts, you will find yourself in problems. So he says, now how are you going to deal with all of this? This is what you're seeing in yourself. Hopefully you're seeing all this, okay? Now you're seeing all this. What are you going to do? You notice that happiness is a fluctuating thing in life. Why is happiness fluctuating? Why should it? He tells us the law. What is the law?
The desire to be make you unhappy is what makes you unhappy.
What's the law? He said.
Oh.
You have to come up with a long time, no?
Yes, ma'am.
You're bunking a lot, Shivan. This isn't college that you can bunk it. Bunking and all is for college, not for Vedanta classes.
No. No, for 4 days I'm home, and surprisingly, I came to my farm to visit my farm.
Okay.
So I'm attending the class from here.
Okay. What, Meera? What were you saying?
I was saying
Identifying with the self.
no. So that was related to happiness. When you asked like what is the equation of happiness, so the first thing that came to my mind was that the desire to be happy is what makes you unhappy. So I thought
I'm referring to what law we studied. So Meera was going to answer. Meera, what were you saying?
Yeah. To stop identifying with the self.
What's the law?
The world is constantly changing between the pairs of opposites.
Yeah.
Priya, you were there last time. What's the law?
That you shall be pure.
That you shall be pure. Amarendra, very good. The divine law is that you shall be pure. If you violate that law, you will be beaten up. Sorry to tell you that. You will be so badly beaten up that you don't know what happened. This is the law. Now don't look at me as if I'm making up stories. This is the law. The divine law is that you shall be pure. If you harbor any form of impurity, suffer the consequences thereof. Reap, sow the wind, you will reap the whirlwind.
And I just had a doubt. Is it, pure as in you stop looking at the self, right? And is that what pure means?
Pure means, what is pure? Purity means nothing else. When there is something else, it becomes impure. So when there is copper and you add some gold into it, it becomes impure copper. If it is gold and you add some silver into it, it becomes impure gold. So what is purity? Purity means nothing else. If you see anything other than the self, you're impure.
Okay, thank you.
When you understand yourself to be one with everybody and everything, you will have no agitation. But if you see yourself different, then there is always going to be agitation. When you see yourself one with anybody, that person cannot agitate you. But when you see yourself different from anyone, that person can agitate you. And I'm very sorry to say this, and I'm sure most of you are going to be anti my saying it, but it's a fact. If you see anything other than yourself, it will agitate. You, me, everybody. The moment you see something other than yourself, it will agitate. Okay. What agitates you? My husband agitates me. Why does your husband agitate you? Because He is my husband. Okay? He didn't ask me out for I don't know. But, everybody was being rude to me at the party and he didn't take my side. Everybody was being rude to you at the party. Then why are you most agitated with him? Why are you agitated with your husband? Everybody was rude. So why are you agitated with your husband?
Because he's my husband.
Because he's my husband. The moment you say somebody is my husband, my child, my friend, what have you done?
You are attached to them, that person.
Milind, listen.
Seeing
What?
something different than the self.
You are seeing two. You're seeing two. You're saying this is me and this is mine. You're seeing two. That's why you're being agitated. Are you all mad at me? I'm sorry I have to tell you this. They're all nonsense. It's not nonsense, it's the truth. If I saw anybody as one with me, that person cannot agitate me. He has no power to do this. The reason he or she has a power to agitate me is because I cannot see that oneness. Say, no, I see oneness with my husband. I see oneness with my children. I see oneness with my wife. Then we can't agitate you. Sounds unreasonable. Let me tell you a lovely story, excuse me, from Bhagavad Purana. In the Bhagavad Purana, the story goes that Krishna threw a party and he called all the gopis for the party, but he didn't call Radha. So all the gopis went running to Radha and said, Radha Rani, you know that Krishna is throwing a party and we've all been invited. Have you been invited? She said, no, I wasn't called. Imagine that, okay? Suppose you were Krishna's best friend or your best friend throws a party and you are not invited. You get to know of it from other people that there was a party. What will you say? I'll tell you what Radha said. All the gopis said to Radha, how come he didn't call you? He called all of us. To which Radha said, if you throw a party, will you call yourself? Will you call yourself? She can't see separateness from Krishna. That's what you're worshiping. My own self. How can he call me? We're not different. What do you think of that? But we see difference. And wherever we see a difference, it will agitate us. The moment you see oneness, it cannot agitate you because you understand from the other person's point of view completely. See, I'll tell you this. Think of it like this. When somebody is rude to me, I get very upset. Say, how dare you be rude to me? I'm very upset that you are rude to me. But when I am rude to somebody, I'm not upset. When I am rude to you, I don't feel upset at all. Why not? Because I understand why I'm being rude. I feel completely justified. Now, if you could see this from the other person's point of view, you will be as unaffected by their rudeness as you are by your own. When we reject people, it doesn't hurt us. We have a very good reason for rejecting them. But when other people reject us, it hurts us. Because we don't understand their stance. When you see oneness, you see it as the other person. Varsha, yes, we get upset by our behavior, but we get upset by our behavior for other reasons. Not because we are not clear of what we did and why we did it. In fact, you go to anybody and say, why did you do that? You were so rude to me. Do you think that how many people turn around and say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize it. Please accept my deep apology. Does anyone say that? They say, what do you mean I was rude? You know what you did to me? Blah, 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 blah. Have you ever gone to a person, told them they did something wrong, and they immediately said, oh, I see, I'm so sorry. It takes character to do that. Many people cannot say the simple word sorry, or if they say sorry, it is a lip service. And say sorry. No matter how wrong you are. You know that story about that that Chicago gangster, what was his name? Al Capone, right? Al Capone. He killed people right, left, and center. He was a mob head. And he was caught finally. You remember that time in Chicago when it was horrible and the streets were in a big mess. And this Al Capone was the king of, he was the most successful of all the mobsters at that time. And after all his drug deals and criminal activity and murders and everything, he was finally caught and brought to the court. And these were his statements. He said, here's a man who has killed we don't know how many people. He literally killed. With his drugs and all that is a different story. I mean, actually murdered. He once killed a policeman because a policeman stopped him for speeding. That's the kind of guy who was caught and brought to court. And his statement in court, recorded statement. Within me lies a heart that will not hurt a fly. You think so?
Janki-ji,
Go ahead.
suppose due to our self-criticism, we become agitated now. That is also due to otherness or due to our desires.
Everything is otherness.
Why
Has
we are
to be
criticizing
otherness.
ourselves only now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because experiencing otherness with ourselves, when we are focused externally, very focused externally, we have no self-assessment. When we have no self-assessment, what that means is, if my whole attention is on what Elsie says, and Pusha says, and Sunaina says, and Akhila says, my whole attention is focused there, then I am always seeing myself as you are seeing me, because I've never stopped to see myself.
Oh.
So the consequence of that is I have created an otherness with my own self. I don't know who I am.
Okay.
I'm only like a mirror for your assessment of me. I don't have an independent version of who I am. So, in fact, it's a major problem really, that our extroversion prevents us from being
Ourselves.
what's the word I'm looking for? Non-motivated. You know yourself. You know who you are. So somebody tells you, you're self-aware or self-based. Maybe I should use the word based. Based in your own self. Huh?
Self-image.
Self-image, or yeah, that also, but actually based in yourself. You're secure in your own, whatever, standing or something. You don't look to others for validation.
Okay.
Self-confidence sometimes is the result of things you have, so that when you are in a position of strength, you're very confident, and then when you go into a position of weakness, you lose that confidence. So like a doctor, you go visit him in his clinic, he's very confident, but that same doctor goes to meet the principal of his son's college, he loses confidence. So when we are self-based, okay, let's use the word self-based, you have a secure understanding of who you are, which you have come to by your own thinking. You took in sort of feedback from others, but you know who you are. So somebody says to Elsie, Elsie, you are I don't know, very hot-tempered. Poor Elsie, she's not at all hot-tempered. So suppose I say to Elsie, Elsie, you're very hot-tempered. To which she will say, no, I think you're making a mistake. But if she's not self-based, then she will say,
how can you say that?
how can you say that? Don't you know I never lose my temper? Why are you saying that to me? And she starts crying. Why should I cry because some idiot talks some nonsense? So when we are self-based,
No sound.
Like we lost her.
we don't require Are we okay? Everyone can hear and see? I don't know what happened. It all just went black for some reason.
Now,
Janki, could you please repeat?
Okay, where did you all hear up to? Okay, I
When we
was
are
at the
based in
point
the
where
self.
From the beginning,
So-
belief.
Okay, so when whole thing went is it? When you are based in yourself, you have decided, you have thought about it and recognized what you are. You're not faking it. You actually looked at yourself and found out what you are. And nobody but us can do this, right? I can tell what I am, you can tell what you are, and nobody in the world can do this better than ourselves. So I have looked, I have all the data, I have come to my conclusion. If I have done this, and I've done it properly, and I'm honest and I found the truth, then I do not require anyone else to tell me who or what I am. But if I haven't, then I will suffer every time somebody says something. And I will be elated if somebody says something. But if I know who I am, then I'm neither excited. If somebody tells me, suppose we tell Elsie, for instance, oh, Elsie, you're so sweet-tempered. So in her mind, she says, oh, this person is good at assessment. Or we say, oh, Elsie, you're so hot-tempered. Then she will say, oh, this person is making a mistake. You know, it's just very matter of fact. The moment you are self-based, you do not require other people to tell you anything. It's not that you're not capable of taking advice. In fact, such people take the best advice because they understand which advice is actually useful for them. And they have no problem listening to other people. The other way, it's all messy. You listen to the wrong things, you don't listen to the right things, total chaos and confusion. So is that okay, Elsie?
Yeah,
So
but
when you hide yourself out from yourself, there is otherness. And so again, there's agitation.
yeah, sometimes we may not be agitated by other people. So, for example, I want to be in time, punctuality. Suppose I break that. That irritates me or agitates me. That is a criticism by me by myself, on me by myself. That also
Same
is a
thing,
kind of
same otherness.
Okay.
You're
okay.
being judgmental of yourself, same otherness.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
So divine life is the divine law is that you should be pure. See only the self, and you cannot be agitated. See anything else, and agitations are a given. This is the base. We are well beyond that base. We see not only something else, we see multiplicity. And then we practice duplicity. We do all sorts of things. We're creating from that seed, we are then now growing a whole tree, a whole forest. We are zoning the whole place. Now, what are we expecting? Will we not be agitated? So we have to bring it down, come back closer to the truth. Divine life is you should be pure. Stop at least the gross forms of impurity until we come to subtler and subtler forms. At least the outer reaches, the branches and the trees reduce until we are able to see that you and I are one. Or some understanding of that. Even like when we were young, there was that some ad, I think for Fanta or some such thing. And that all those cartoons used to come and say, "We're all in this together for the fun of it, for the joy of it." You remember that? I don't know. Akhila, do you remember you? I don't think you were born at that time, but when we were young, no, they all come and sing and be very happy. But that's a fact, right? We're all in this together. Whatever it is, we're all in it together. Because suppose any one of us decide we're not in this together, then where are we going? Where is that person going? Can you decide, I don't want to be on planet Earth? If you don't decide and you go off somewhere else, okay, I can understand some reasoning. But now you say, no, I don't want to be with you guys. Where are you going? You continue to be on Earth only. So at some stage, we must learn to see the unity. So you see the unity as the self. See it as all of humanity, all of us on Earth. See it even as a country. See it as a community. See it as a city. Anywhere see, but be see. कहीं से भी देखो, but देख लो उसको. See us, all of us studying Vedanta as one group. See it any way you want, but increase the degree of oneness to decrease the degree of agitation. Yeah. Yes, Momita, please keep. Now let me see. I covered everybody's point, Rajesh. At a transactional level, people come with their individual vasanas and tendencies. How do we improve appreciating the other's point of view, even if it's very divergent? Can we completely converge? How do we appreciate another's point of view, even if it's very divergent, Rajesh? By your first sentence. People come with their individual. Where are you, Rajesh? Are you there? And see you. I was seeing you sometime. There you are. People come with their individual vasanas. So what? See, dogs come with their individual vasanas, cats come with their individual vasanas, elephants come with their individual vasanas. That doesn't stop us from loving them. So the moment you understand that first line, people come with their vasanas, then they are more entertainment than like diversion. That's how that person will behave. When you see a television series and some funny man is doing some funny thing, that's how that person behaves. That's that. And it's entertainment. Why do we watch movies and why do we watch television serials and all that? Why do we read books? Akhila must have read I don't know how many million books by now. What is the entertainment of the book? that people have come with their individual vasanas. That is the entertainment. So the moment we understand that, we are good. Is that fine, Rajesh? I mean, we are not discussing what to do about it. It is our mental attitude towards it that we're talking about.
Okay, got it, Janish.
Mukesh, we are very good lawyers for our own mistakes and very good judges for the mistakes of others because there is no oneness. Correct. So, Naina, yes, objectivity. Yes, when you do that, you're an objective person. We are all very objective where we don't have desires and we're very objective. But when our own personal desires start playing, then the objectivity along with the philosophy has been thrown out of the window. All right, so are we good so far? So good. So therefore, he says, if you find yourself agitated, please self-diagnose. Please find out where you are going wrong. Do not worry where other people are going wrong. That should be a matter of fact, not a matter of pain. Somebody is doing something wrong. It's okay, he's doing something wrong. Now, what are you in pain about? If you're in pain, please self-diagnose. Do not associate your pain with others' errors. Others' errors have no capacity to give you pain. Believe it or not, all the people in the world can do all the wrong things in the world and you will suffer no pain. The pain that we will suffer, the sorrow, the agitation, the misery that we suffer is because of what I am doing wrong. This we live in a fair world. I do not have the capacity to hurt you and you do not have the capacity to hurt me. We can only do this to ourselves. That is why the great Eleanor Roosevelt said, no one can make you feel low without your permission. You are very much there. So when there's pain, please self-diagnose. Take help, take guidance if you like. But the buck stops here. You alone caused it. You alone can solve it. And it may sound mean to hear that. It may seem, how on earth this person did such a horrible thing to me. My brother stole all my property. He threw me out on the street. I had nowhere to go. How is it that you're saying I caused the pain? Your brother has no capacity to cause you pain no matter how he behaves. You have the capacity to cause yourself pain. And wherever there's a desire, you will cause yourself pain. So please self-diagnose. Find out what the pain is about. Please learn your lesson from that. If you found yourself out on the street, if you found that somebody has shortchanged you, please learn your lesson. So when in a Zoom conference, one person always forgets to mute and it agitates me. This person has issues with me from over a year. How do I find myself here? That's very honest, Sunaina. It bugs the hell out of everybody. One person will always do something idiotic. This is a given. So it agitates us. Of course it agitates us. It agitates all of us. Now we have to start figuring out, you do stupid things. How am I going to protect myself from all the stupidity that you do? When I was a young girl, I tried to learn driving. I must confess, I never managed to do it, but my father would take me driving. And I was really bad at it. Like, I'm mostly bad with most things. He was terrible at driving. And my father would get like, he would start sweating and, sweat would come down and it'd become all red and all because he had no idea what I was doing at the steering wheel. So this whole experience was pretty traumatic, I think, for both of us. And but there's one thing that I got out of those driving lessons, the few driving lessons that he actually gave me, was this. He said, a good driver is not a person who drives well. A good driver is a person who not only drives well, but watches out for the mistakes of others. So you are paying attention in class. Somebody does something, like in the lecture hall, somebody's cell phone will start ringing. On Zoom, suddenly somebody's maid will start shouting. They've forgotten to unmute. Now the question is, why am I getting worked up for? It is an irritating thing, there's no doubt. There is no debate as far as that goes. But if I allow myself to be agitated, the loss is mine because I missed the lecture in getting agitated. So or whatever it is I was doing at that point. So as we start self-analyzing this, like another irritating thing, Sunaina, which I don't know, where are you? Are you in Mumbai?
I'm in Canada.
Oh, you're in Canada. Oh, I see. Okay, so you won't understand this problem. But if you ever come to Mumbai, you will understand this huge problem. You put your head to sleep at night and somebody will start making some noise. And you can't sleep because they start talking or playing music or start doing something or the other. Very irritating. And I get very irritated because I want to get up and, you're not letting me sleep. And then one day, as I was getting very irritated with this, it suddenly occurred to me that, what is keeping me awake is not that noise. What is keeping me awake is that I am getting irritated. And once I figured that much out, then I can sleep. Because as long as I keep myself from being agitated, I will sleep in spite of that. Will wake me up, then I'll just go back to sleep. But if I get irritated, if I wake up and I get irritated, then I can't sleep. Because now I'm irritated, how can I sleep? So, once you figure, that's what they keep telling us, that whenever you have a problem, self-diagnose. So you figure that thing out and then there's not a problem. What exactly is disturbing me? If I can get to the root of, then I will solve that. But the best thing to remember is, it's in my hands. That's the best thing to remember. So once you do that, so how do you find yourself is your question. By self-diagnosis, by self-analysis, by figuring out, okay, so now I know this person is going to behave like this. What am I going to do about it? Because I cannot in all circumstances do something about it. Like suppose I'm going to sleep and my husband makes a noise. I can tell him, are you making a noise? Don't you know I'm sleeping? I can do all this naksha. But if that noise is coming from outside, I can't go and fight with everybody every day. Unless I can. That's also a possibility. Whatever. So I must know what are my options and then decide. And once I do that, I am not if I'm able to deal with it myself, I'm not disturbed by what others do. Is that helpful? I hope it is. Because there's nothing else I wish to say about it.
Thank you. Yes, very much. Thank you.
Astha, please clear my doubt. This world, including our body, is a form of consciousness. We know this world through our consciousness. So in case of sudden death of body-like accident, is consciousness aware that body is dead? Or consciousness leaves the body first and afterwards body dies? And why does consciousness leave a dead body? To find another body. Astha, This is a general question, Asta. It's not got anything to do with what we are currently discussing. However, let us understand, just because it's your first day, consciousness means two things, can mean two things. Actually, conscious means one thing, but there are two. There is consciousness and there is pure consciousness. So people use consciousness sometimes interchangeably. Consciousness means the presence of the mind and intellect. That means thought. Pure consciousness means the absence of thought, means the self. Okay, so let's see your question. This world, including our body, is a form of consciousness.
Pure
It's a form of consciousness. Correct. Pure consciousness. Very good. We know this world through our consciousness. Now, which consciousness is this?
Pure consciousness.
No, through our mind and
Awareness.
intellect. Through our mind
No?
and intellect, because pure consciousness has got no thought.
Okay.
So this consciousness now is mind and intellect.
Okay.
So in case of sudden death or body-like accident, is consciousness aware that body is dead? That's your question is your mind and intellect aware that your body is dead? There is no way to answer that question. Or consciousness leaves the body first and afterwards the body dies? That has to be correct, because death is the moving out of the mind and intellect. If the mind and intellect are there, if thoughts are there, residing in the body, then you're not dead. You cannot be dead. You're alive. And why does consciousness leave a dead body? Because I mean, it's like the leaving of the consciousness, the leaving of the mind and intellect is equal to death. Now, why does the mind and intellect leave? Because it is it's the same whether it leaves the body or it doesn't leave the body. Every movement is because of a desire. When your consciousness is with your body, also it is desire, and when it leaves, also it is desire. Every movement is because of desire. To find another body, we don't know what that desire is.
Okay.
It has to be a desire.
And ma'am, what about this pure consciousness? So once the body dies, so then what happens to pure consciousness?
Nothing.
It just
No
remains.
effect. Nothing has any effect on pure consciousness. It's all pervading. It's the transcendental reality. Neither your birth nor your death has any effect on it.
Okay. Okay. Understood.
So
thank you.
Yatin. So technically all death is suicide. Yes, that's correct. All death is suicide. Now, coming back to what we are currently discussing. So whenever we meet agitation, let us self-diagnose. Take help. Consult scriptures, consult the gurus, consult guides, consult mentors, whatever you want. But do it yourself at the end of the day. There is no getting away from that. Okay, so shall we read the next paragraph? So far, so good. Who's going to read the next paragraph?
I will.
Please.
Yourself is the theme of all religions. Perceptors and preaching cannot help you find it unless you inquire into yourself. Eternal sources of knowledge can only set you thinking, but you must make good use of the spiritual knowledge by engaging your intellect to reflect independently upon the truths therein. Do not sell your liberty of reflection to spiritual personalities, regardless of their merit. You must seek the truth yourself. The Godhead lies within you. Remove the evil of ignorance and revel in the supreme bliss that lies within. Not realizing your inherent wealth, you try in vain to find peace and joy in the external world. So the American philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson rightly quipped, "Every man is a divinity in disguise, a god playing the fool." So all religions have the self as the theme. Religious addressed by a teacher can only help if we inquire into ourselves. We must engage our intellect to independently use the knowledge from the scriptures to reflect upon the truths. But we need to seek the truth independently. Knowledge from outside world is the genesis to our self-reflection. The self lies within us, so we should remove the ignorance within us. Not realizing this, we reach out to the external world of peace and joy. The quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson captures this. Every man is a divinity in disguise, a god playing the fool.
Can you make a shorter summary? Like summary should be like 2-3 lines. So can you make a shorter one?
All religions have the self as the theme. So what we need to do is to use our intellect to independently use the knowledge from the scriptures to reflect upon the truths. But we need to seek the truth independently.
Very good. So here are two aspects of the search of truth. One is what you are told. Two is what you do yourself. Okay, so there is a Sanskrit Subhashitam that says, like a rath does not travel on one chakra, so too you need two things. You need the help and guidance from preceptors, elders, mentors, guides, education, knowledge, books, the whole gamut of things that help us to achieve what we're trying to achieve. That's one part. The second part of it is, what are we doing with all that knowledge that we have gained? Are we like a fountain that, you've seen what a fountain does, right? It circulates the water. So the water comes in, it throws it out, and then it falls down again, and then you throw it out. Right, like that? That means knowledge comes into me, I throw it out, I listen to myself saying the same thing, and I circulate. You realize we do that with knowledge most of the time. We're like fountains. You hear something, you go say it. And then you just keep repeating it until you think that you know, because you can say it. Tragedy of knowledge. The story goes, I don't know whether it's true or false, but anyway, that's the urban legend, that there used to be this man who used to drive Einstein to all his lectures. And so one day that driver who used to drive Einstein told Einstein that, I've heard your lecture so many times, I can tell it as well as you can. So that fascinated Einstein. No, I see. The next lecture, he said, you give the lecture instead of me. Now, this was before Facebook and all, so people didn't really know Einstein. So in the next lecture, the driver went and gave the lecture. And he's literally as good as an Einstein giving the lecture. And all was fantastic until somebody got up and asked a question. And then that was a problem. So that driver, he didn't lose his savoir faire, actually. He said, oh, that's a really simple question. In fact, it's so simple that my driver can answer it. And then Einstein got up and answered the question. So, knowledge is a wicked witch, It seems to us that we've got it because we can say it. But we haven't. Because there's a lot of work to be done with knowledge. Therefore, it's generally a rule that the more you have read, the less you know. You know why? Because you had time to read so much because you didn't spend that time thinking on what you read. Otherwise, thinkers cannot read too much. little knowledge, very little, and a lot of thinking. And then suddenly that little knowledge becomes wisdom. So Herbert Spencer said, I am not so great a reader as others. If I was as great a reader as others, I would have been as big an ignoramus as others. Okay, so that's it for today. Bharat, announcement. Go ahead, Bharat.